Hey guys, it's Zach here, and welcome to another movie night here on Pajama Theater. Tonight, we're watching The Golden Voyage of Sinbad, a 1973 fantasy adventure film starring John Philip Law as the swashbuckling adventurer himself. As a fan of the 1958 film, The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, I'm quite excited to check this one out. Seeing Ray Harryhausen return to the helm of the special effects for this film only increases my anticipation. I have high hopes for the production, and I'm eager to see what story there is to tell this time around. So without further delay, let's dive into the adventure and see what treasures there are to find. The Golden Voyage of Sinbad takes place in and around the coasts of Marabia. Our story begins when Captain Sinbad and his crew spot a strange creature flying above their ship. One of the crew members fires an arrow at it, and down drops a gold relic. Enamored with the artifact, Sinbad decides to keep it, despite the crew claiming it's bad luck. Soon after, they find themselves caught up in a freak storm, and the ship is blown away to a mysterious town far from their destination. Sinbad decides to anchor the ship and swim to shore in search of answers. Just where are they? Is the golden relic related in any way? Sinbad seeks counsel with the vizier of the town to find out. It's soon revealed that the vizier himself has a matching golden relic to that of Sinbad's, and the two men decide to strike a bargain and work together in search of the greater treasure this all may imply. However, around every corner lurks dark forces that will challenge Sinbad and crew every step of the way. Introducing our main antagonist for the story, the magician of the dark arts, Kura, who conjures monsters, casts spells, and will stop at nothing to pursue Sinbad and claim the treasure for himself. From here on out, we get all sorts of encounters at sea and on land, with all sorts of people, fauna, and environments as Sinbad travels his golden voyage. So, I've now watched the film, and what are my thoughts? Well, unfortunately, my immediate feelings were not what I hoped for. Not to say the film is bad, it's just that there's a lot of potential here, and some major flaws sort of bring the whole thing down. I want to focus on the positives, but the negatives here are so glaring that I need to get them out of the way. I have two major issues with the film that both lie within the writing. It's the pacing and the characters. The general pacing for the film is awful, killing a lot of the initial excitement as it's slow to get started. There's a lot of fat on this film to trim, and the excess really drags the story. Scenes tend to linger too long, and some could be removed entirely with little to no consequence. I could easily see this movie being tightened up by 20 minutes from its original 105-minute runtime. Pacing aside, my other major gripe with this movie is the characters themselves. Our actors are clearly hamming it up and having a good time, but it's like they were given absolute crap to work with. Oh wow, are these characters awful. I hate almost every single one of them. Each person is either an asshole or an annoyance. Even our protagonist Sinbad himself is frustrating to watch. In the 50s film, Sinbad is a charming hero who you love to follow on the adventure. Here, he just comes off as a greedy sea captain with a superiority complex. A mysterious treasure lands on his ship, and the crew tell him to throw it overboard as it must be cursed. What does Sinbad do? He keeps it, and he even wears it as a necklace too. Bad things start to happen, but even then he refuses to admit his error. After being blown off course and arriving at the mysterious settlement, the entire crew wishes to turn tail and leave. Again, what does Sinbad do? Tells them to get over it as he jumps in the water and swims to shore. This sort of thing happens again and again. The only time I actually thought, hey, maybe Sinbad isn't such a bad guy after all, is when he's bargaining and happens to receive a slave as part of the deal, only to set her free immediately after. But even that seemed more like a convenience for him rather than an intentional act of good. The love interest this time around is about the blandest character ever written, and Sinbad's goons, along with the vizier, are forgettable at best. In fact, the only thing about the vizier I remember is his sweet, sweet helmet. His son, however, is memorable, but for all the wrong reasons. He's a major mood killer in every scene he's in. Like a low-fantasy Jar Jar Binks, he's just out of place, and constantly talks like he was sucked into the movies from the audience in the 70s, and has no clue what's going on. Okay. But what about the villain? He has to be cool, right? We have to have some cool wizard to go up against the great adventurer Sinbad? Well, even the villain Kora is undercooked here. He has a lot of potential as an evil sorcerer, a la Jafar style, but for the most part, his motivations are boring, and his dialogue is anything but menacing. I could go on, but you get the point. No one in this film is likable, and it's actually sort of upsetting. But I digress. There must be some positives to this film, right? Well, I'm happy to say it does at least tap into that charm of the original, with its action scenes and incredible environments. The great array of sets and locations is backed by Ray Harryhausen's iconic stop-motion effects. His work plays a key role in improving this film, with each encounter being more incredible than the last. We see a centaur, a wooden effigy, a stone statue, and more. It's very cool to see. The seaside and jungle settings lend to the adventurous feel of the film, and the monsters Sinbad and crew must face are all fantastical depictions with amazing executions of effects and cinematography. If you're a fan of the original film, this one isn't going to match up entirely, but it's still worth your time as it definitely has hints of what made the 50s films so good. It may have writing issues, but the sense of adventure still seeps from every frame. If you've already seen the film, let me know what you think in the comments. How does this one compare to the first? Which Sinbad movie is your favorite? I'll say I still like the first film better, but this one is still worth checking out if you're a fan of the franchise.